The flashing lights painted my Arizona driveway like a bad joke no one asked for. There she stood, Karen Whitaker, Desert Rose Estates HOA president, arms crossed tighter than her bylaws, floral visor gleaming under the brutal Phoenix sun as she jabbed a finger straight at my backyard. Officers, that's the man operating an unauthorized water park right in the middle of our community. My niece and a handful of neighbor kids were just giggling in 3 feet of water, chasing bubbles from a homemade sprinkler. No lines, no tickets, no chaos, just pure Saturday afternoon joy in the desert heat. The cops exchanged that classic, "You've got to be kidding me" look, but Karen didn't blink. Facts never mattered to her. Control did. I'd moved to this cookie-cutter paradise 6 months earlier, chasing the quiet retirement I'd earned after 20 years designing public parks across the Southwest. The house came with a cracked, neglected pool that looked like it hadn't seen water since the last housing crash. To me it was blank canvas and therapy all in one. My younger brother Tyler had died from cancer 2 years back, and every summer we'd dreamed of a backyard where the whole family could gather, splash, and forget the world for a few hours. So I restored it in his memory, every tile, every jet, every light under the water. County permits framed on my wall. Everything legal. But Karen? She saw joy and called it rebellion. The first HOA meeting felt like walking into a courtroom wearing flip-flops. The clubhouse smelled like lemon polish and quiet fear. Karen sat at the head table in her pearl necklace and crisp blouse, leather binder open like scripture. When I stood and introduced myself, Ethan Harlan, 1422 Mesquite Lane, just fixing up the backyard pool for family use. Her smile tightened like a noose. "Water features invite liability, Mr. Harlan," she said, voice sweet as antifreeze. "We maintain harmony through standards here in Desert Rose Estates." I smiled right back. So does turning neighbors into suspects with a clipboard. But hey, harmony sounds great, as long as it's not code for my way or fines. A few people chuckled under their breath. Karen's pen stopped mid-note. That was mistake number 1. By the next morning a yellow violation notice was taped to my door. Unauthorized recreational modification, intent to install water jets. The boxes were still sealed in my garage. I photographed them, emailed proof, and got the reply in under 10 minutes. Intent alone violates Section 7.3. Board review required. KW. That's when I realized this wasn't about pools. It was about her throne. Neighbors started sharing horror stories in hushed tones at the mailbox. The retired couple 2 doors down fined for hanging flower baskets too low. The single mom warned about her kids' bike on the lawn for 20 minutes. Karen's little army of clipboard warriors patrolled daily, snapping photos of anything that dared look lived in. Harmony, she called it. I called it a velvet dictatorship. I did what any engineer would do. I documented everything. Cameras went up. A logbook filled. And one night at 11:17 p.m. the motion alert pinged. There was Karen on my footage, floral visor and all, slipping through the side gate with a flashlight, scribbling notes about my suspicious slide. She even tried the shed latch. Trespassing, plain as the Arizona sky. I kept quiet. Let her dig. The Saturday the cops showed up was peak irony. Karen was already waiting on the sidewalk, like she'd summoned them personally. "Think of the children and property values," she cried while the officers stared at my tiny splash zone. I handed over the binder, every county stamp, every inspection report. The older cop sighed. "Ma'am, this is a private backyard. Everything's permitted. You can't keep calling us every time someone has fun." Karen's face flushed the color of her nails. "But the rules. County rules beat clubhouse rules, ma'am. Have a nice day." She stormed off muttering about disrespect for authority, but the neighborhood whispers started shifting, from me to her. 2 weeks later, she filed the formal county complaint calling my pool an illegal commercial attraction. The public hearing at the zoning office was packed. Karen took the podium in a power blazer, binder thick as a phone book, painting me as some reckless cowboy destroying the desert dream. "This isn't just one pool," she declared, voice trembling with righteous fury. "It's about protecting our way of life." When my turn came, I didn't yell. I simply plugged in the USB. First the county permits, every page glowing on the big screen. Then the night vision clip, Karen, crystal clear, trespassing on my property at 11:17 p.m., flashlight dancing across my slide. The room went dead silent. Someone whispered, "That's illegal." But the knockout punch was the financials. An anonymous tip, okay, it was me, had triggered a records check. Turns out Karen had quietly reimbursed herself $1,800 from HOA funds for security equipment, a fancy drone she'd been flying over backyards, including mine, for months. The same kind of surveillance she fined residents for when they installed their own cameras. I quoted her own bylaws back at her, calm as still water. Section 4.1 prohibits misuse of funds and unauthorized surveillance. Funny how the rules suddenly apply when they're pointed back at you, Karen. Her face drained of color. The scripted responses died on her lips. It was for community safety. You don't understand. The zoning commissioner leaned forward. Mrs. Whitaker, trespassing and misappropriating association money isn't safety. It's exactly the overreach we've been investigating. Full audit ordered. Matter referred to the sheriff. Gasps turned to murmurs, then outright cheers from people who'd lived under her thumb for years. Her loyalists suddenly found the floor fascinating. By the end of the week, her resignation email hit every inbox, short, bitter, and effective immediately. The audit uncovered thousands funneled to personal expenses, fake fines pocketed, the whole board dissolved under state pressure. 2 months later, the for sale sign went up on her house. The queen who tried to outlaw happiness couldn't stand living in a neighborhood that finally laughed without permission. New volunteer committee rewrote the covenants, real safety, not ego trips. Every weekend now my gate swings open. Kids from the whole street cannonball into the pool Tyler inspired. Parents grill burgers, music plays, laughter bounces off the stucco walls without a single clipboard in sight. I put up a small bronze plaque by the deep end, dedicated to joy over jurisdiction. The desert sun still beats down, but these days it warms something real. True or false? The HOA president was genuinely protecting the community's harmony, or was she the one who truly abused power and got exactly the karma she deserved? Drop your answer in your own HOA horror story below. I read every single one.